There you go. So, Emmy, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. I had a meeting with my management team this morning, so today started off very well. Forgive the construction noises going on in the background. You might hear some very loud sounds.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. It's fine. I have my puppy next to me, so if you hear noises too, it's because of the whole puppy.
Oh, what kind of dog?
It's kind of a pit bull, so I don't know exactly what breed is it. I mean, I found him tied to a pole, so I took him home, and yeah, it's been now with me for 4 months. Yeah, and it's been super awesome. But every now and then, when he destroys things, or when he has like full energy, I'm still wondering myself, like, why did I adopt it? You know.
Dogs are a lot of work, and they're so cute.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, the good thing now is that recently we went to this pet store, right? And I was like, okay, so choose a toy. And of course, that he didn't choose anything. He wanted everything, so I just grabbed one. He loved it, and that's the key. So every now and then, when I will have interviews, I will have his toy that I will be just like playing with him for a while. Or for example, yesterday, for all the interviews that I had, he was chewing my hand, throughout the whole day of the interviews. He was just chewing my hand over and over and over and over. But part of having a puppy, I guess.
Puppies, they love to chew.
Yeah, totally. But as I said, it's just part of it, you know. But every now and then, I have to make sure that he's not destroying anything, you know, like my chair, shoes, or something. But that's the way it is. But well, welcome again. It is so awesome to have you back here. It's super cool.
And I loved our chat last time.
Yeah, I love it too.
It's so great to discuss kind of what's going on, what ideas we're having, and hopefully people enjoy it and find something useful or inspiring.
Totally. I mean, who wouldn't love to hear how awesome and badass your career is at the moment? I mean, let's be honest, right? Now, before we start, I have to give you an epic, proper welcome to someone as badass and awesome as you. So you know the drill. So here we go. You know, even then, if at some point I will have like live audience, I'm gonna still putting this because this is so fun.
Definitely, it's become a tradition.
Right? Yeah, it's like my signature, let's say. Now, starting with the whole interview now, tell me what's new since our last interview.
Well, I just had 2 auditions that were super fun, and I was really excited about them. I got new headshots, which I'm very excited about. Had a great time shooting them. It totally upped my vibe to be in front of the camera and, you know, be doing something so fun and so good for my career. So I really enjoyed that. I just really look to do activities that make me feel like in alignment with my goals and make me feel like, you know, I'm talking about it, I'm doing it, and that makes me feel really happy. So that's why interviews like this are great, because it's an excuse to talk about what I'm doing and why, you know, why cinema, why film, why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, let me tell you that what you're doing is awesome, and you're killing it, and because of that, you deserve a quick shout out. So,
thanks, Dan.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's because since that thing,
it's getting real excited.
Yeah. Like since this thing lasts like 3 seconds, I have to be super sure because otherwise it will repeat over and over and over and over. So. Right. But anyway, so in the last interview, we talked about your acting career, which is so badass. But now let's talk about your directing and writing career. So in 2019,
shifting gears, totally different headspace. All right, let's go.
So in 2019, you wrote and directed that Meatballs. So tell me about that and what inspired you to write that project.
So that project was actually written with a team. I think I kind of came in later and helped tweak it as the director, but my friends came with the initial draft. If memory serves, they're amazing. My friends, Pablo and Nadia, at Neverland Productions. They're so awesome, and so we kind of made that piece together. Their names will come up again because I've worked on several projects with them.
Cool.
And that shoot was a lot of fun. My friend Joe was the main actor. He's so talented, so incredible. And my friend Nadia was actually the daughter in it. And she's like, you know, my age, but she's so small and she can totally play like high school age. So she played the daughter, and that was really fun. But I just loved shooting something a little different, like comedy, fast paced. It was really like a team effort to figure out how to do some of those trick shots.
Yeah.
And then my buddy Pablo is really good at VFX in post, and so he did some of the VFX with like the knife, because we can't actually be throwing like a real, you know, blade around.
Yeah.
So man, that was a really, really fun project, and I'm so excited to get to direct again. I've actually got a project that I'm going to direct coming down the pipeline, and we'll talk about that soon, I'm sure. Yeah,
sounds like a plan. Then that same year, you also wrote and directed Interdiction. So tell me as well about that film, and also what inspired you, or in what phase of the project you came in to finish it, writing it, or tell me about it.
I'm getting a little emotional thinking back on directing these projects. So Interdiction was definitely my most ambitious piece so far. It's the longest, it has the most scenes and the most characters and the most going on. It's not perfect, but I'm really, really proud of it.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a really cool exploration and like a multi-day shoot, you know, working with multiple DPs. I actually worked with my friend Pablo on that. He was one of the DPs. And that project actually started with like a group that wanted to make something.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was just so enthusiastic and excited about the prospect of directing. I was watching films constantly. I think that year I watched 150 films.
Oh my God.
So I was going to the theater at least once a week, if not twice. I was watching movies all the time. And it was just like a very, you know, when something's new and exciting and you're like, can I do this? You know, it's such a fantastic energy to be in. And I was definitely in that space. I was like, I just want to get my hands on making something and like working with people that I vibe with and everything. So that was a really interesting experience. We ended up reshooting the entire last scene because I was going through the footage with Pablo and Nadia, and I was like, I cannot have this out. It's not working. Like it looked like some kind of virtual reality video game, like completely didn't match the rest. So we went and reshot it, and I was actually really proud of that scene and how it turned out. And again, that script was also a collaboration. And it was just such a fun process, like having everybody come together with like very little money and just figure out locations, figure out what we were going to do, what's working, what's not. And directing is such an amazing experiment every day.
Totally.
Like you have your shots and what you want, but then you show up in the space and you're like, wow, that's a really cool, you know, location scouting is helpful for this too. But sometimes when you actually see it up, you're like, actually, you know, through this little cutaway in the wall or whatever, it's like a really cool shot, or something's not working and you have to like refigure out how you're going to get the shot the way you want it, or you realize you forgot something and you need to like cover your butt at the last second. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It only happened once during that shoot, but it happened, and I was like, I can't believe I forgot that shot. So I'm really excited to direct again, and directing, there's this, I was talking about it earlier, but like this spirit of being a beginner every time, so much. because I've directed 5 different shorts and a commercial, and I still feel like I've never directed anything before. Because it's such like a bizarre experience because it's just so different every time.
Yeah. So
but yeah, Interdiction was really cool, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's got some great actors, some great moments. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I think we made that with like $1,000. Like, it was not a lot. Don't quote me on that, but something around there. Like, it was really not a lot. So I'm really happy with what we did, and just the experience of making that was so exhilarating. And yeah, Interdiction was just a really fun time.
That's so awesome. That's so cool. Now, speaking about directing, tell me, what are some of the things that you like about it, and what's your inspiration towards it?
Directing, what do I like about it? I love everything about it. I love, as an actor, I come with an interesting point of view because I know what it's like to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I know how uncomfy it can be, and how, well, you know, we're looking for something like sparkly. We're looking for something real. We're looking for something exciting. We're looking, you know, so I'm always trying to create that environment where something spontaneous could happen, like something exciting could happen, something unexpected could happen. And it's a learning process. So the next shoot that I do, this new project that I do, will be a new experience and like a new way to try to implement, like, you know, my idea, my vision, but at the same time, like, being completely open to collaboration and open to what's happening on the day and what's happening with everyone around me. So it's really cool to kind of be the leader, I guess, in that way. But as the leader, you're really like I don't know the word, but like, you're really just giving everyone else permission to shine. Like, you're just giving everyone permission to be their best self.
Yeah.
Everyone permission to play. And so it's a weird role because you're the quote leader, but it's actually the focus is on everybody else. And that's something that I really enjoy, because I love to bring people together and inspire people and motivate people. Yeah. And, you know, one of my, it's not flaws, it can be a great skill as a director, but I can be very like pushy, you know. And so if we need something done, I'm like, let's get it. So a kind of development point for myself, you know, as I age and as I mature, is just being less pushy and more at peace with what's happening, what we're capturing, and improvisation and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love everything about it. I love the post-production process. I love editing. It's amazing to see it come to life. I love every single process of directing. Like, there is no part that I don't enjoy. And I think one of the most amazing moments is when you're behind the camera and you're seeing, especially when you've written it, and you see it before your eyes. It's like, I just don't know how to describe it. It's the most amazing thing. Like, when something in your head is now in the physical world, there's something magical about it. That's what I call it, movie magic. And it just moves me, you know, I just feel so honored that everybody is coming together and using their gifts and talents to bring this story to life. And I take that responsibility very seriously. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I bet. That's so interesting. And you know, it's funny how each director will have like their own way, you know, like to set the scene or to set the film. That, for example, the other day I was checking this interview in which with Tom Hanks, in which they say like, how is Clint Eastwood that
when he's directing, and then he was saying like he treats actors like horses, and everybody was like, what do you mean? And then he was like, yeah, because normally on set there's loud and screaming, and everybody, okay, on set 3, 2, you know, like there's a lot of noise going on, but with him, he just like come close to you, and he would say like, go ahead, you know, like very calm and chill, like do your thing. And once you do like the whole scene, then he would say like super calm, okay, that's enough of it, you know. But and then with other directors that pretty much are like, you know, that they want everything to be hush hush and go here, go there. So it's so interesting how each director has like their own, like it's like the more movies they get, they start to develop like their own style, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, it's something that is completely based on that individual director's personality and, you know, how they feel comfortable about. It's a huge responsibility, like I said. So how they feel comfortable dealing with that pressure and that money and that responsibility to the story and everybody's project. So that makes some people a little more controlling, like Fincher or Bergman, or, you know, many others who we love. And then there's some who are more, you know, improvisational and less exacting. And who's to say what's better?
Totally, yeah. Now, what would you say is the key to direct a film?
I think the number one thing is passion. Okay. Because you're kind of the leader of the train, and everybody looks to you for, you know,
for direction
and leadership.
Yeah.
And so if you're not there, the crew, no, they're not gonna have that.
Totally.
Because they're working so hard. Like, they need to see that you're engaged, and you know, you have to fight for the story, and you have to fight to make it happen. Yeah. And so I would say passion is the number one thing. And then obviously knowledge about film and angles and lenses is obviously helpful. But those things can be taught. You can't teach someone to be passionate.
Yeah.
You can teach themselves how to be passionate. You can teach yourself how to be passionate, but you can't I can't sit someone down and be like, here's how to be passionate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is something that you need to develop over the years. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How cool is that? How awesome. Now, what advice could you give to those who recently started directing?
I would say 2 things. 1, keep doing it, which is like advice for myself too, and also to pick projects that you're passionate about and working with people who inspire you and that you respect and admire. Yeah. It's like a little family you make when you direct a film. So picking the people that you're around, or being, you know, saying yes to things that are making you feel comfortable, but at the same time excited and like you're growing and expanding. So yeah, keep doing it, but then also pick things that you feel really passionate about. There you go.
Like that. Preach on that. How cool is that? Yeah, I think directors at the end of the day, you know, let's give a massive shout out to all the directors, including you, of course. So. What you guys do is so awesome, and I can understand how frustrating and stressing might be sometimes, because you'll have like the picture on your mind, and then no matter like how many scenes you will take, if it doesn't fit the image you are putting that it's in your head, it might get stressing, you know. It might be kind of a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, the fact that you build, you are basically kind of the whole captain here, you know. That at the end of the day, you are taking this boat into the journey, and at the same time, that journey is the audience, that we will like it and we will appreciate once it's good to go. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I'm just so grateful for this interview too, because it's like reminding me all the things that I love about directing, and how after being on so many sets I started, as I mentioned in the last interview, I started in theater. So after being on stage, reading a lot of plays, being on set, watching a lot of movies, directing was something that just like fit on me like a, like a glove. Like it just fit so easily. And it's so nice to kind of discuss why that is, and like what it is about directing that, excites me so much. So I just really appreciate this time with you. Yeah,
and I do appreciate a lot the fact that you accepted it, and the fact that we're talking about this. At the end of the day, one of the things that I enjoy the most is to speak with talented and awesome people, and the fact that how they express and how they talk about like their dreams, about their passions. That is super inspiring, and I think those who feel like a little bit not inspired, or those who are having like this moment in which you're questioning yourself if you should start what you love, or if you should continue with the stable stuff. The fact that all of the actors that I've interviewed, and it's like a testament, it's like a statement saying that dreams come true, and how, and like the passion they put it when they talk about it. That is really cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it doesn't matter what quote like level someone's at. Someone could be show running like a huge show. Someone could be directing a huge project. Someone could be working on staff or whatever. Yeah. And they're not inspired. Or you could be making $200 a day, not inspired. It doesn't really matter what level you're at. Or you could be working for free and being incredibly inspired. And you feel so filled with purpose and passion and joy. Yeah. And you could be working for a huge blockbuster film and feel so passionate and grateful and excited. So it's not really dependent on circumstances, more what you're focusing on and where you're putting your attention and your attitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the goodness is there in what we do, and it's our responsibility, I believe, to put our attention there and then share that with others, and sort of help that become the narrative in our spaces when possible.
Yeah, totally. And it's so interesting, right? Like how I think that's the beauty of being, I think that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of being like a human. The fact that everybody has their own passions, and everybody has like their own levels of passion. That for some people, when they say, for example, right, you will ask somebody like what it is to be successful, right? And some people would say, for me, successful would be having like my own company, having like my own jet, bunch of cars, yacht, whatever, right? But there will be some people who would say, no, at the end of the day, for me, successful would be just do what I enjoy the most, So it's so interesting, and I think that's what makes us unique from one another. The fact that we all have our different passions, totally. and our levels of inspiration here and there.
Exactly.
Totally. Now, switching a little bit now for the writing part. Tell me, what inspires you to start writing?
Writing is something that does not come as naturally to me. I'm incredibly social. I love the dynamism of being in groups, and I love forward movement. Something in my personality, I just love the feeling of momentum, of drive, of moving, and that's directing, baby, because you're keeping that train going, and those shots need to get done today. Like that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that naturally fits really nicely in my personality, and writing is a bit less natural. I know there are some people who read and wrote from the time they were like little kids, and I've always loved stories and books. Particularly when I was young, I would read like a lot of fantasy, a lot of science fiction, and I worked in a children's bookstore for many years. So books have always been a part of like my consciousness and things that I love, but actually sitting down myself and like writing, not so much in my general wheelhouse. But when I feel like there's something really important that I have to get out, almost like an exorcism or like a drainage, then I will write. And so I'm working on a feature film that I've been working on since 2018, and I'm on like the 9th draft of it, just really like honing and fine-tuning and and finding joy in the process, and it takes as long as it takes so the script is in the right place.
Yeah.
And when I direct that will be amazing. I mean, it's all amazing. Directing anything is amazing, but directing my first feature will be amazing. And I'm very excited for that day, and I'm enjoying every day in between.
Yeah. Let me know when the day comes, we can make like another specialist only for that.
Awesome.
Cool. Now, what were some of the challenges, or what are some of the challenges today that you will usually have when you start writing?
Well, at this point, there's a lot of challenges at this point for me. That's like, is this making sense? Is the flow? It's screenwriting is so hard. It's like just making sure the arcs are clear, like why the characters are doing what they're doing is clear. Is the pacing right? So that's where I'm at this point. I mean, sometimes you get writer's block, but I found it's actually less common on first drafts.
Yeah.
Because first drafts, you just kind of like, you just get them out, and I try not to judge them. You know, you just get them out. But really, like, taking the script from first draft to like makeable draft is really hard.
Yeah.
And not that even writing a first draft is hard too, but it's the rewriting is brutal, because you're like, all right, this is my shot to make this blueprint, and it needs to be clear so that whoever this is in the hands of, whatever executive, whatever producer, whatever actor, it's clear enough that they can be sitting in their living room, with their kids running around, read it in an hour and get it. And I wish that wasn't the case, but that's the reality of the business. It's like people, they just want to see something that's true and resonant and relevant, and they need to feel that right away. So that is really difficult. And just making sure everything makes sense emotionally, that the reasons why the characters are doing what they're doing, that the pace, all of it, it's incredibly difficult. And then that the dialogue isn't terrible, that the dialogue's interesting, and that things happen that are unexpected, and people say things that are unexpected but are also grounded in the truth of that character. So it's brain, it destroys your brain. Yeah.
And by the way, here's a puppy, though. As you can say, he's like biting.
Oh my gosh, your poor hand. Ow.
There you go. But that's so cool. The other day I started to write so I'm the type of person that normally ideas come out of nowhere, right? And I'm a very hyperactive person, so constantly if I have the idea of something, I need to write it down immediately, otherwise I will forget it. And the other day, I pitched this kind of movie, and I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen something like this. And then I start writing it, and then I'll let you know later what kind of it, because I think you will like it.
That's really exciting. Yeah, I love when you get those flashes.
Yeah, those moments.
And it's just you're a receiver for something else. It doesn't even feel like the idea came from you. That's very cool.
Yeah. Now, what would you say it's an important aspect to start writing?
What do you information you need to know before you start writing, or talk to a lot of writers, befriend writers, spend time with writers, talk to writers. Because there are people who know what they're doing, and you want to be close to those people. Watch a lot of movies, read some screenwriting books, join a writer's group, so you have people to give you feedback on your work. Listen to their feedback. You do not write a script and the first draft is perfect. That's not how it works. That's it. And then just believe in the idea. Believe that it's a story worth telling to the point that you can get it made.
Okay. And what do you think is the key for a movie to be a great one?
Oh my God, that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yes.
For me, there needs to be I look for like transcendence when there's something beyond just the story that feels like it's happening. When there's something, Paul Thomas Anderson does this all the time. Like he'll be telling a story about two people, but it feels like way more than that. And that, I think, is what makes a great film. But that's so incredibly difficult to achieve. I mean, when I think great film, I also think of Apocalypse Now. I think of Francis Ford Coppola. I think of Greta Gerwig. I think of Francis Ha. They're just simple or wildly extravagant stories, but they feel like they're like reaching something beyond us. And it takes a great cast, it takes a great script, it takes a fucking miracle. Excuse my French.
No, it's good. It's okay. I mean, yeah, it's fine. But it's so interesting because, for example, the Adam Sandler movies, right? Mm-hmm. So like Happy Gilmore, like all of those movies, they're not like pieces of art, mm-hmm. For the critics or whatever. But if you ask someone, they love it. You know what I mean? So it is so interesting, that question, because I would say that it would depend, what kind of movies you like, or what kind of or like what is your audience, you know what I mean? Because for example, for you, a great one would be so different from the ones that I would say, or there will be people, for example, that they just love, like the movies on the festivals and stuff like that, but they hate mainstream movies, so it's so, now that I mentioned, now that I think of it, there is no exact answer for it.
That's the other interesting thing about art too, is that you just like find your people. Same with making a film, like with friends or people or people you hire, you find your audience too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because it's an art form, like it's not 3 + 3 is 6. It's like something else is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so interesting. That got me thinking a lot. But anyway, now I wonder, tell me, what motivates you or gets you back up whenever you're having a bad day?
That's a good question, because I think that's something that is the most important thing, actually. Like, I think it's the most important part of being a human being, is like knowing your mind and knowing how to pull yourself out of a funk, and also accept and be okay with not feeling good, like being down today, and not judging it or thinking it's going to be forever. So I think like there's this way to kind of be objective or detached, where you're observing your own thoughts and observing your own reactions to things. And so when you say, like, is there anything you can do to make yourself feel better when you're feeling down, it's like, yes, you can always like watch your favorite movie, have a donut, go on a walk, but I think the larger conversation is awareness of your own thoughts and being okay with them, but observing them and noticing, what am I thinking about this? What am I feeling about this? And not judging it, but then also being like, well, what if I felt this way instead? Like, what if I practiced joy? What if I practiced gratitude every day, no matter what was happening? So my happiness is not like, it's not dependent on my conditions. Like, I could be not feeling well with a cold in bed and still be happy. Or I could be doing the dishes and still be happy doing the dishes. And I think that's what a lot of like spiritual teachers and gurus are kind of like trying to help us understand, is that our happiness isn't dependent on conditions, but it's something that comes from our awareness and our relationship to our environment, our understanding of environment. So that's like a lifelong kind of journey practice. That's not something that you just like get it and you're done. It's like, you know what I mean? You are it's a constant practice and awareness and something that I'm working on, and then I hope to be a better person because of it. I hope to be a better director, a better writer, a better actress, a better girlfriend, you know, a better everything. And that's what I think this is really about. You know, and like you said, what we choose to do, what our passion is, it almost like it doesn't really matter. Like what matters is how we do the things we do.
Totally.
The way we do it, and how we treat the people around us and ourselves in the process.
Yeah. And if you have to describe your career during this year, but in one of your characters from films or shows, which one you would choose?
I mean, it's hard. It's either between the music video short that I did, or the feature film "You Lose a Good Thing" that I was in.
Yeah.
I guess I'll say "Wish You Were Here," or You Knew It Was Me. That's like what I did. Yeah, You Knew It Was Me. I would say that one just because I know so many of us have been through so much struggle this past year.
Yeah.
And so much pain that I feel like that character and what she went through, I think people can kind of relate, unfortunately. But also it's part of being human. Loss and tragedy happens.
Yeah. Now, what would you say is one of the reasons why so many people abandon their dreams?
That's a complicated question. There's a lot of reasons. I think accessibility, mentorship is extremely important. I think people who have the fiscal means to pursue a dream are at an immediate advantage. You know, people who have support from parents or husband or wife. So that's like right off the bat, just being practical about it, that matters a lot, like having support. And then also having mentorship, people who, you know, like for me as a director, having directors who are experienced, you know, talking to me, and like I was saying, writers who are experienced talking to me. Mentorship is incredibly important. And then I think, for some people, life just, like I said, I don't think it really matters necessarily, spiritually speaking, like what you're doing. It's more about how you're doing it. So I think some people come to realize that the dream isn't what they thought it was. And the dream isn't going to make them happy like they thought it was. And they realize that, like, I don't need happiness or fulfillment to come from this. And so it's not that they abandon the dream, they just pivot. They just go in another direction because they realize they didn't need it to be happy. And then some people, I do think, abandon it for practicality reasons. They're like, oh, I have a kid. And some people just have to. It makes me think of I was just listening to a talk. I went back in time and listened to Ryan Johnson and Greta Gerwig talk about Little Women. And the character Amy in Little Women, she gives up painting because she's like, I want to be great or nothing. And I know that I'm not great. And there's some level of like maturity in that. And perhaps wisdom in that. But for some people it is unfortunately like they just don't have access. And then I was listening to an interview with Tiffany Haddish, and she was living out of her car multiple times in pursuit of comedy and in pursuit of storytelling and acting, and she got help. Like nobody is an overnight success, and nobody does honor. no one does it on their own. And
Totally.
if they tell you otherwise, they're not aware of what's happened in their life. Like, they're not aware of how blessed they are. And yeah, that's a sad question. It's a good question. I also do think it takes a tremendous amount of grit to pursue a career in the arts, and just almost like an irreverence, saying, I will do this. Like, there's a willpower that's involved. And it's pretty intense, but I think that the payout can just be so worth it. You know, it's like anything in life, if it's difficult, having the rewards are just tremendous.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about money or fame. I'm not talking about
totally.
Yeah, I'm talking about the rewards of the heart and the spirit. Those rewards can be tremendous. Like having a baby, it is terribly difficult, but parents say it's amazing. So, or that it's working, you know? So it's one of those things that, for those of us lucky enough to get to pursue our dreams, it's an incredibly privileged space to be in, and I'm very grateful to be in it.
There you go. That's the preaching moment. That's so cool. Yeah, it is so interesting, right? And yeah, for me personally, it kind of makes me feel sad, or it kills me when someone I know, they just abandoned what they're doing, you know, either because they didn't have the time anymore, or because they got disappointed, you know. Because I think sometimes also, I mean, we want this, but we only see the success in it, but we don't see like what kind of, like, we have our expectations so high, and when we start, we expect to be in that level, you know, but you don't realize that there's a lot of steps that you have to go through in order to one day reach there, right? I was having this conversation the other day with a friend of mine that he's a streamer, right? And then he was telling me like, I hate doing it because I only have like one people or two people in it, and that's it. And there's this guy who has like millions of them. And well, he was telling me that, I was like, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's part of that. That's part of the show, you know. Like that's the way it is. I mean, you have to work hard. You need to. I mean, if you really love it, you're gonna put your heart in it, you know. And I think also one of the mistakes here is when you start to compare yourself, you know, when you compare what you're doing with somebody else that of course is higher than you. Of course it is gonna be super discouraged, but at the same time, I mean, you don't know that person, you know. You don't know what that person has been through in order to reach where he or she is right now, you know. And I think that we only tend to be. I mean, we only tend to see the success, and that's it, and we want that, and we criticize it because we're not there, but we don't know like how much work we need to put in on it, you know. And when we're starting it, and you realize how tough can be sometimes, then you start to feel a little bit discouraged because you're like, well, why, you know? But I think that's kind of the way it is, you know.
Totally. I think it's interesting just to interview people who aren't famous, like who are working and doing stuff like myself, who are super passionate and fulfilled by their career but aren't famous, because you get an insight into like what happens on the way there. Like, what does it look like before you're famous? And it's interesting because usually most people aren't that interested. Some people are like people who are really like cinephiles, people who are really into film, or like people who like to watch short films and follow independent filmmakers. But for the most part, most people aren't interested, and they just like the shiny success stuff. So I heard a really great quote the other day from this podcast that I listen to sometimes, Audrey Helps Actors. And the quote applies to anyone in any field, and it says, never let your expectations exceed your gratitude.
There you go.
And that, I feel, is so true, because it is hard, and you want to be there faster, but then you know, like the spiritual aspect, you're like, what is there? There is no there. I am there. I am here. And all there is,
because
the future doesn't exist yet, so it's like change and celebrating little wins, like celebrating getting new headshots, celebrating big auditions, celebrating every time I get called into a new room, celebrating every time I make a new film, like a new short. They're all wins. And I think for people just starting out, that's super important to remember that, like, when a baby is learning to walk, everyone at the beginning is like, yay, go baby, and it's the hardest at the beginning. And that's like what it was like when I first started out here when I was 22, and you don't have people cheering you like this, like a baby, but you should.
Yeah, totally.
You gotta be that cheerleader for yourself for the littlest things, like the baby falls and everyone's like, wow, that's amazing. And that's how we need to be thinking of ourselves every day, because it is hard and it's challenging, but it's also super rewarding, and you do see progress and it's like, wow, I am getting somewhere, this is great. And once you see that, like, I'm a little further in, so it's still hard, but it's less hard.
Yeah, totally.
But the beginning was really hard.
Yeah, it is. Now, like, my last question here is, what can we expect from Emmy in the future?
Good things.
There you go.
So I mentioned that I have a short that I'm going to direct with a friend of mine. She wrote it. She's an incredible writer, and we were friends in high school. So this is amazing to me, to be directing something written by a friend that I've known for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about that. I think it's going to be a really fun time. I think it's going to be a really fun experience. And I'm going to have a blast. So I'm really excited to shoot that. And then I'm working on my feature, and that's really exciting. And I hope to make that as well when it's the right time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and my new headshots are coming out, and hopefully I'll be doing some acting jobs here soon. I have a short coming up that I'm going to be in, so I'm excited about that. So I've got, some cool stuff going on, but things are also a little dependent on the potential Yahtzee strike. There might be a strike in which all film and television production would stop. So that will potentially affect things in the near future, but the strike needs to happen if it needs to happen. So
true. Yeah, true. I mean, at the end of the day, what can I say? I mean, I said it in our previous interview. I mean, I think that you are super talented and super awesome here, and I mean, I just can't wait to see more of your amazing job in the future, like this project you are going to direct, or the films that in the future are gonna be coming. Just keep killing it, keep doing it, because as I said, he just give me 1 sec. Because I think at the end of the day, what's important here is people that we can relate, and people that is honest, people that is honest for the passion, honest for their job, honest for the things that they do. And the fact that you're doing that, the fact that you're expressing on it, that is really inspiring. And that is also one of the things that I did enjoy about our first interview, that you are so passionate and so real about it, that it's impossible not to feel inspired, or not to get, like, all the hype going before. I mean, it's impossible not to get inspired while listening to this amazing interview and this amazing chat with you,
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate it. And like I said, it helps. I appreciate it because it helps me too. Like I said, anytime you find spaces where you can be excited and be honest and kind of stay in that space, it's always a privilege. Yeah,
totally. So I mean, at first, I need to give you another epic shout out, because you're killing it here. So I love doing this. There we go. And then I have to give you another shout out because we finished the question. So, and again, I mean, at the end of the day, again, thank you so much for being here. Also, thank you so much for those who tune in. And if you're listening to this later on the podcast or watching this later on the YouTube, first put pause, leave a like, subscribe. I mean, it takes 1 second. Then hydrate, and then follow Emmy Newman100th for social media. Like, send her like a lot of epic vibes here. Like, leave million likes here and there. Share the content. Spread the word that we have an amazing, talented, badass actress, director, writer. I mean, come on, the list goes on of the how many talents and awesome things that you do. And then come back to the video. And again, thank you so much. You're having an amazing rest of the day. I can't wait for another. Huh?
You too.
Yeah, I can't wait to have another amazing interview with you because you are definitely killing it here. So
thanks, Dan.
keep
I
having a
appreciate
good
it.
one.
Thank you so much.
Bye.